Hi, good morning again, everyone. My name is Chandra S. Joshi, representing Path Infotech, and would be coordinating this webinar. We would like to extend our thanks to all of you for sparing your time to attend the webinar, and we are very excited to have a great audience today. Now, coming on to the agenda and speakers, next slide, please. Right. Now, in this webinar, our panelists will share their insight on some key business concerns that organizations are facing with Oracle applications. These are regarding continuous patching and testing cycles, security audits, and testing across heterogeneous integrated application environment, which in turn hamper the overall performance of the organization. We will also discuss how testing automation can help to timely identify and manage issues, minimize risk, and reduce costs while enabling seamless operations across your organization. We will also give some overview of OpKey, which is our next generation test automation tool. Now, coming on to the panelists, we have two panelists over here. I would like to introduce our, Mr. Pankaj Goyal, who is the Chief Product Officer and Testing Guru. Pankaj started his career at Mercury as automation engineer, and post that was with Oracle, Adobe, and now have a startup in Bay Area and brain and heart behind OpKey. Hi, Pankaj. Welcome.
Hey, Chandra, thank you very much for having me here, man. It's a very kind welcome. So thank you very much for this introduction.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you. We also have Mr. Vinay Gupta, who is our VP International Business at Path Infotech. And Vinay, has been an industry veteran and has worked around the globe on wide variety of products, services, and verticals with passion to drive success for customers. Hi, Vinay. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Chandra. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Vinay.
Thank you, Vinay. Now, with that, I would like to hand over the session to Vinay to carry it forward. Vinay, over to you.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining and really appreciate it. So we are kind of opening up this session with, the key business, I will say, needs and requirements where, everybody, when we work in an organization is interested and, concerned about what business requires. And the key thing for today, the businesses are that, they are not interested in testing anymore. They are looking for assurance. They are looking for the business assurance that their applications, the business processes which have been set up, the systems, they should work seamlessly after release, patches are applied, changes and enhancements are done because of internal business needs, applications and the processes should work as it is, what they were working prior to that. And this is a big, I will say, a requirement and a need. And what we have seen in the industry, by virtue of, interacting with so many IT leaders, managers, CIOs, that whatever is being done is not enough in terms of, test coverage. Whatever models of testing are being used, the testing is not enough. Almost like a 2/3 of, I will say, people what we have met, they're saying the test coverage is not enough. And then, of course, the changes which are being done to the application because of the business needs, the development cycle itself have shortened up, and the testing cycles are getting squeezed even further. So the changes, they are not able to drive the changes fast enough. Not happy situation for the business. So what the goal is, how to ensure the various applications you have, including Oracle applications, Oracle Cloud implementations, that they work seamlessly. You're able to validate the processes on an ongoing basis. In case of Oracle apps on the cloud, quarterly is minimal, right? And there could be some other internal business needs driving to have changes. So that's what I would say is the need of the hour. Moving to the next slide, what are the approaches today businesses are taking to handle this? There are generally two models which are being used, whether it's an in-house or it's an outsourced. Underneath either of the two, the method is either manually the testing is being done or using some automated tools. Despite of that, having automated tools in place, the validations are not scalable. The testing is not scalable. The coverage is not there, as I told in the earlier slide. Let's say you have a process which is starting from a lead to a cache, collecting of cache. Your lead could be in like a Salesforce of an application. Your order punching could be into Oracle apps, and then collecting of cache could be into a banking application. All these three could be different technologies, different systems, and you would require to do an end-to-end business process testing. And for that, you may end up having multiple set of tools to test that. A lot of tools today are available which are being used for different testing. They are not suited, or I will say custom fit for testing Oracle Cloud application because of the way the Oracle Cloud applications work. And then of course there is a significant cost and time required to embrace automation. Of course, there are upfront capex costs which are there, and then of course the ongoing cost. Besides that, you require, I will say, technical people to do this. So what is recommended or what is suggested from us is the approach what we call as platform-based autonomous managed validation. What is that? What it does give you, what it does give to the business. One, you can have the validation managed very easily using autonomous approach. The platform takes care most of the pain of the testing. It is an outcome based. So the pricing, or I will say the cost implications are based on what is the outcome. It's all driven by SLAs. We all know today in Oracle Cloud world, Oracle only gives about 2 weeks to validate what your business process was working, and now it works after the release or not. So SL is very critical. Very transparently, the way the platform is designed, each and every stakeholder in the ecosystem can see what is working, what is not working, what it will impact. So a very high level of transparency can be achieved. You don't have to wait for reports and compilation of the information. It's all available on the dashboards and auto information. And of course the AI powered engine, which kind of runs the whole platform, is the key, I will say, answer to this today's world of digitization with robotics. And of course the servicing model, which comes as the testing as services from us, that plays another significant role. My colleague Pankaj is also on the call. Pankaj, do you want to add something about it here?
I mean, you have explained it pretty well, and you have covered all the pertinent points, Vinay. I particularly like the part where you mentioned about autonomous. Because if you look at the traditional problems from testing perspective, Oracle is a tough beast to master that way, right? I mean, in terms of the tools, particularly with Oracle Cloud, a lot of people attempted the wrong way in terms of automation. So the key over here is the business assurance, as you said, and the only way it's possible is to move to the next generation of test automation, which is autonomous, right? So that's what we have attempted to do with this, which matches the best of both worlds, right? I mean, it gives you the business assurance and in a way which is much more faster. I hope through some of the further slides we'll be able to demonstrate that point better. But
absolutely,
autonomous,
I think that's, right. So moving to the next part of it.
Fantastic. So I'll just take over from where Vinay left. I think Vinay talked about the platform-based managed validation, right? So the whole idea is to make sure that you get the best of both worlds, right? In terms of the same level of SLAs and service assurance that you would expect with any testing team, be it in-house or outsourced, and the best of technology to make it happen fast, right? So to that effect, we have devised 4 key offerings where our customers either go for one or all, depending on the business needs. The first, of course, is managed update and release validation. So, the whole idea is with each and every update or with each and every change that you do and you want to push it into the production, be it configuration or anything, how fast you can do it. And, is there a way to validate it quickly so that the business risks are accounted for and business continuity is not impacted? So this offering primarily, what we help you do is do impact analysis of either the update or the changes that you are doing, the validations in between the releases, and the whole idea is to minimize your compliance risk and make sure that the business continuity is not impacted. So with each and every update that comes out, we'll help you do the testing, we'll help you do the validation and go risk free. The second one is pretty interesting. I mean, working with many of our customers over last year and a half of this entire journey, I mean, customers said that, one-time testing when the update happens is fine. But what I also need is to make sure that the critical business processes that I have, I mean, these critical business processes continue operating, without any error. So, many a times, because of some patches from Oracle coming in or some small minor updates coming in or some configuration changes, the critical business processes are broken, right? So, I mean, last quarter, there was a change in terms of mail daemon being configured by Oracle, and some of the invoice processes were impacting, were getting impacted because of the mails not being sent properly. So the need is, can I continuously monitor my business processes even when there is no release, even when there is no change? Can I make sure that the business processes are up and running 100% of the time, and I don't lose my end users, my business users' time, because of any untoward failure? So that's the second offering that we have designed in this portfolio. And again, the whole idea is to make sure that we continuously run the business processes you have configured, either in your sandbox environment, once the release has been done, or in your production, to make sure that all the right processes are configured and your business users have a seamless experience. Then security configuration validation. I mean, this is particularly true in terms of, most of the time we have seen it in terms of HCM. As part of compliances in many of the enterprises that we work with, they need to have a regular audit, sometimes as high as every week, where they need to make sure that all the right roles and privileges are being assigned to all the right groups within the company, right? So that audit has to be done as a compliance measure. Doing that manually or doing it with a subsection of your people becomes a challenge, right? So we have solved that problem with, again, a kind of autonomous security configuration validation engine to make sure that your privileges are assigned as per your roles. Your baseline is being met every time, and since it's completely autonomous, it becomes very, very fast for you to do it as soon as you want. I mean, in terms of any changes being done. And then the last one is finally the managed migration validation. Now this one is particularly interesting, managed migration validation, because many of the enterprises are in the journey of either moving from some other systems to your Oracle Cloud, or moving from your on-prem installation to a IaaS kind of infrastructure as a service kind of option. So in either case, what they need is assurance, a business assurance for this migration, making sure that the processes are migrated properly if you're changing the system, or making sure that, again, the business continuity is not impacted when you move your infrastructure. So, again, we have very well-defined offering for that, completely automated and autonomous. So, basically the whole migration journey is smoother, and you can actually, cover your risks right from day one, rather than covering your risk towards the end and then realizing, hey, my testing was not enough and new errors are coming up, and then again delaying the entire migration cycle. So between these four, use cases, so to say, we feel that the entire business assurance portfolio is covered, so to say, and we cover most of your risks, in terms of the regular updates coming in or the changes that you are doing. Now, some of the advantages of this approach, the autonomous approach, is it's platform-based, right? Which means that, it's not like we are solving this problem by throwing bodies at it. Being platform-based, we give you better coverage, obviously, because we are not bound by how many people can test how many business processes in how much time. It's all autonomous, so we can parallelly spin up 10 different machines and run 10 different business processes on it at the same time. Obviously, if these are independent business processes, or even otherwise, we can leverage the full 24-hour cycle to test it, right? Because it has to run independently. The costs are lower. I mean, you will traditionally find that over 1 or 2 year period, your total cost of ownership, your TCO goes down significantly because of the technology that we are using. And C, it's faster. I mean, I would say it's at least a 50% faster than what you would have experienced so far. We'll come to that part later on. Of course, it's SLA driven, as Vinay also mentioned, because you won't expect anything less. End to end, again, very, very critical. I mean, quite a few enterprises don't use Oracle Cloud or Oracle EBS in silos, right? I mean, they have third-party systems integrated, either upstream or downstream. So the business assurance need not only be in terms of your Oracle Cloud apps, it has to be in terms of the integration as well. How my CPQ process is working end to end, right from Salesforce to Oracle Cloud, for that matter, right? If you're using that, or how my Oracle Cloud integrates with my payroll. So, I mean, a lot of integrations that need to be ensured. And one of the advantages with this engine is your end-to-end business processes are covered. I mean, you don't have to worry about, hey, this automation is only for Oracle, or this autonomous platform is only for Oracle. So that part is covered. And the best part of it, that our customers love is the visibility. I mean, since it's again platform based, you get a login and you get full visibility into it at every point of time. I mean, even when the tests are running, you can see what business processes have been covered. If there are some intermediate business processes that have failed, you get alerts. So it's like, you can get as much level of granularity and visibility as you want into the entire validation process, which, if I may say, many of our customers have said they don't find it with either an outsourced approach or even within in-house automation. I mean, the kind of visibility that they want or kind of control that they want is often missing. So, Vinay, any inputs from your side, in terms of the overall coverage, in terms of advantage?
I think, Pankaj, this is definitely helpful for our people to understand how we do it and what all is available in the offering.
Perfect. Thank you. So then I'll move to the next slide and a brief flowchart view of how we approach this entire problem, right? So there are two parts to when we engage with the customer. I mean, the first time, when we start, we have this one-time effort where we have most of the business processes for Oracle Cloud, all the modules, be it Finance Cloud or be it HCM, we have most of the business processes pre-configured and pre-built with us. We have more than 500 pre-built business models and test cases out of the box. So we choose based on this library, we choose whatever libraries are required for our customers, the enterprises. Then based on these, we create the models which are suited for our customers, typically. That's a one-time effort. And between the pre-configured and creating a model, which is more like a drag and drop, we cover 90% of the scenarios. So it's like on day one, you will get 90% coverage with our existing platform. Now, there are always 10%, situations that need to be customized based on your configurations. And again, that customization is largely autonomous. So we have this Oracle specific test builder, which in conjunction with the self configurator, the autonomous piece, the AI piece, which can automatically look at your configurations and which can configure the test cases based on your need. So that would then take care of 10% of the remaining customizations. And obviously we have a strict manual check. So there is a lead involved from our side who makes sure that these customizations are in sync with your configurations, because it's a AI, it's a continuous training model. So that's a one-time effort. And once that is done, we have at the end a suite of models and test cases which are ready to use on your particular instance for your specific configurations. Now, whenever there is an update or you make a change, the first thing we do is an automated impact analysis. right? We make sure that whatever was the configuration previously, whatever was the state of your system, and what is now, either post update or post any configuration change you have done, what is the typical impact on the configurations or on the test cases. And based on that, we give you a report which highlights high risk libraries in terms of automation, and some of the likely business processes that might have been impacted by these changes that Oracle push, or changes that you might have done in your configuration. Now, these impact analysis report, some of our customers, they just love it. In fact, most of our customers just love it, because even before embarking into the validation and testing journey, they very well know their risks. They can very easily say that, oh, these are the business processes, or these are the functional areas that can be impacted, and focus more on it. So I think when we show you a demo, we'll show you how the impact analysis report looks. Then our autonomous engine attempts to fix the impacted libraries by itself. And the keyword here is attempts, because obviously it's an AI engine. We would not completely rely on it to do it, but I would say about 98% of changes are done autonomously. And then, as I mentioned, there is a manual supervision at the top, typically around 2%, where we come in and we make sure that the changes that have been done are in sync with the business models that are specific to a specific customer. And with that, we are ready to have autonomous testing, for your specific configurations. So this entire process, as you see, is largely automated and autonomous. And then about typically 2 to 3% of effort that we spend with each of these update cycles is manual for us. And that is why we are able to do it much faster than any of your traditional methods. So, based on this entire engine that we have configured, and based on this entire IP that we have developed, we have been working with our customers to give them 1 week assurance, which means from the time a release is or update is pushed into the sandbox environment to the time they get a full visibility of their testing, we take 1 week typically. So I'll show you the cycle of how this 1 week follows. Typically, on day 1, we generate the impact analysis report, right? And we send this report to all the stakeholders, the internal and the external stakeholders. Day 2, the team works on locating the affected functional areas. Now, a small word over here in terms of when we start assessing the impact, we work very closely with Oracle, which means that we already know quite a few changes that are about to come with a specific update, and our autonomous engine at the back end would have accommodated most of it. So that is why, for us to have that delta when the changes are actually pushed into your sandbox environment or your lower Oracle environment, it's a small delta that we have to take care of, and that we typically do on day 2 of our engagement. Then day 3 is all about configuring test. The engine that I showed that actually takes care of this impact analysis and then self-configures, and then we do a manual inspection. That's typically our day 3 job. So day 4 and day 5, full regression testing runs. We continuously run tests, and it's full 24/7 testing that happens on your lower instance, across multiple test agents, by the way. So, this test run continuously in autonomous fashion. If there are failures, immediately alerts are issued. People can come back, they configure, they tweak. If there are some Oracle side changes, the specific SRs are raised. And day 6 and day 7, we verify the final results that have come out, and we send you a full report based on the entire analysis, based on your validation requirement. And many of our customers use this report as a statutory compliance report. They put that as part of the verification process internally. So with every update, that's a typical 7-day cycle. And the 1 week assurance that we talk about, that's how in 7 days we give you a full business assurance on, or a full business visibility on how your business is operating with this new update. Traditionally, it has been, typically customers take 2 to 3 weeks, and that too not without that too without the full coverage, so to say. So Vinay, I mean, you would like to share some experiences over here in terms of, how it has helped customers or, how the shrinking of this cycle helps customer to identify the risks early?
Absolutely, Pankaj. So, I'll pick up an example for one of our customers. After having this being used for a quarter, they've got so excited and so happy with the results. They are now trying to do this, at least a month now. So you can see the value what they have started seeing from these autonomous testing, that they want to, start doing it monthly, so that their even business process changes which are happening because of business needs, they can be validated on a monthly basis. So kind of, bringing their business changes to the market sooner. That's the value what they got really from this.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Vinay. I mean, you're right. That's the whole idea, right? Because the engine is autonomous, so you don't have to wait for every update. You can actually run it whenever you want. It's a very pertinent point. So, I mean, and once we have established how the entire process works, let's have a quick look at the platform behind it. What we call OpKey. So OpKey is the core engine, the platform that makes this entire autonomous validation possible. So OpKey is essentially a AI-powered test automation platform, which helps you automate multiple technologies. So be it web or desktop or mobile. I mean, it typically works with any kind of applications that you have. What we have done on top of this platform is built Oracle EBS and Oracle Cloud specific test accelerators. That's where our entire managed validation comes in. Because as a platform, it can automate pretty much any technology. But as I mentioned, Oracle slightly difficult to automate. In fact, very difficult to automate. So we have done Oracle specific customizations in the platform to make sure that your automation journey with Oracle's applications, both EBS and cloud, is pretty smooth. And the biggest focus area for us while building this platform was to ensure that the business users can have a single click interface to run their test. I mean, we wanted to sort of democratize the entire process of test automation. Not only the techies or not only the coders, but even business users should have the power to configure their test and run it. That has been the focus from day one, and that's how we are doing this entire. That's how we are approaching the entire user experience. Some of the customers, interesting mix of customers that we have. We serve more than 150 customers globally at this point of time, and interesting mix of customers, right from small to medium-sized enterprise to some of the largest names in industry. In fact, 18 of the Fortune 100 enterprises are our customers right now. You can recognize some of the names from here. Let's look at a bit of overall landscape, right, in terms of the platform. And again, I won't bore you with many of the technical details here, but as I mentioned, in terms of technology, OpKey automates any kind of web application, desktop. We have a very, very strong mobile presence. We have Java and web services. So any kind of applications it can automate. We call it a unified test automation platform because it don't just focus on one package or only the Oracle. I mean, you can automate pretty much your entire unified business processes for enterprise. So we call it unified test automation. Zero code scripting. I mentioned about the business users being focused here. Model-based testing is interesting. I mean, that's how we internally increase the coverage. We are leveraging the latest of research, in testing in terms of AI to make sure that we can bring in the benefits to the business users. And that's where model-based testing comes in. As part of our walkthrough of the application, maybe I'll show you one of the models and how the test cases are created. Then visual scripting technology, again, a patent pending technology where, we make the entire process of configuring your test much, much more simpler than any of the existing platform out there. And since most of the enterprises are in the journey of their agile implementation, it would be pertinent to note that we are agile and DevOps ready from day one, which means we integrate with end-to-end ecosystem. Now, if you look at this alone, I mean, it acts as a standard automated platform, right? Now, what we have done on top of it in terms of value add is we have built those accelerators. So we have built those pre-built business processes. We have built the self-configuring and self-healing engine, which can, which are specific to your applications. So we have done it for Oracle EBS. We have done it for cloud applications, then Salesforce, Workday, PeopleSoft. The models are already built for it, which means that whenever you start your testing journey with any of these package applications, you don't have to start from zero. Your 70 to 80% business processes are already covered, and you just start from there, which is a significant advantage, in terms of your time saving, in terms of your cost saving. So lot of advantages come with accelerator kind of approach. Then these are some of the integrations we have. If you are using some of these tools in your delivery pipeline or IT ecosystem, we can integrate day zero. We have Jira integration. I mean, quite a few people are using Jira for their either project management or agile test management. Then we have CI/CD integrations with all the leading tools: Bamboo, Jenkins, Bitbucket. So we have, again, to the point of being agile and DevOps ready. And then we have pCloudy, again, our one of our other products, which is into mobility, which allows us to test your applications and your user experience on mobile devices, on real mobile devices on cloud. So we have more than 500 devices, across the globe for our cloud. So that's the platform at a very, very high level, folks. I think let's have a quick look at the demo, and I'll request my colleague Dimpy to assist me. So Dimpy, I would make you the presenter.
Sure. Thank you, Pankaj.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. This is the dashboard of Accelerator, where we have all the artifacts and all the project activities information. So I'll start from the dashboard, where we have information and the activities related to test cases, business processes, business components, jobs, and execution results are placed. All the artifacts on a structural level look like this. So we have like our complete product overview, where we have all the business processes, all the pre-built business processes already created for the financials cloud, the human capital management cloud, the supply chain management cloud, procurement, projects, and many others. Let me just give everyone a detailed overview of all the business processes that we have. And let's look at the detailed view of the process. So a detailed business process would look like this. So everything will look in a flowchart looking structure. So I've just opened one of the business processes where all the pre-built libraries are moduled together in order to create an end-to-end workflow. So as we look at this business process, where it's the business process of the module account payable, and all the business components have come in one after the other. So whatever reusable set of test steps we have, they are in the form of a business component, and we've stitched them together to call it a workflow. And any addition to this workflow can be added very, very easily from the search library, where we can search any of the business components. Here, and then pile it again to the already created business process workflow. So here, the new business component that has been added has come in right at the end.
So this is what, folks, this is essentially what we call the accelerator. I mean, these business processes come pre-built and pre-configured for you. Now, we have, DB, we have more than 500, right, at this point of time, the business processes and the components?
Yes, absolutely. So we have around 500 business processes, which are like end-to-end workflows, vanilla workflows provided by Oracle. And we have over 700 pre-built business components, which are smaller reusable test steps.
Excellent.
And then again, all the pre-built components, like here in the search library, can again be stitched together to create another workflow.
Great. Fantastic. So let's have a look at the impact engine, Dimpy, in the interest of time.
Yes. Moving to the impact engine. So we have this impact engine. So any upgrade that comes into the accelerator, we go to the impact analysis, do a release analysis of two snapshots. So we have a lower environment snapshot, which is the instance capture of the previous version of before the upgrade. And then we have the higher environment snapshot. As we have these two snapshots, we then go to the impact report, do a new analysis and compare the two snapshots from here. As soon as we do the comparison, we have the impact report with us. Now this is the comparison of both these instances. As soon as we have the impact report, we can look at the dashboard that gives us a complete overview of what changed into the system. So there are 5 different charts that give us complete overview of the change that happened to the system. Starting with the workflow change, this tells us what if there was a workflow change into the business process that happened, any screen that got added or some kind of workflow change that comes here. The impact overview tells us what were the number of objects and the entities that got impacted. Then the impacted test artifacts let us know what were the number of business processes and the test cases that got impacted due to this change. And lastly, the number of impacted fields. So this one talks about the lower level of the change, where if there is an addition or there is an update or there is any kind of removal to the field structure, that gets captured. If we look at the detailed view, we have again a comparison which tells us what got changed to the system at every level. So we are here looking at the field level changes that happen to the system, and these two columns actually talk about the lower and the higher environment. So these are the number of fields that got changed. The second column talks about the new fields that got added, and the third column talks about their change type. And on a click of a button, we know that what were the impacted artifacts in terms of the number of test cases. So this is the test case that got impacted, the number of business processes, and the components. So this comparative study, we again have a different view where we can, in a detailed way, look at the comparisons of both these data. So we have an expected and the actual data, which talks about again the changes that we just saw. Here it is. And this button, which is the update business components, this is the autonomous engine and the AI part that we were talking about. Now this one button will allow us to make the changes to the already existing test cases. Now whatever changes that we captured from the lower environment to the higher environment, everything will get updated from the click of this button. We select this button, we select these fields that were changed into the environment.
Or JavaScript-based framework. So these are the aspects that I want to discuss.
And that's all. Once this is done, all the changes have actually been done to the existing test cases. So post the upgrade and the version of the environment, the changes are incorporated into the already existing test cases. Let me now show you the execution reports and how the dashboard and the reporting structure looks like once we have the executions done. So there are two views to it. So let's see the execution reports first. So we can have the reporting structure in different forms. So we can have the reported execution results in a summary format, in detailed format, in an integrated or validation format. If you select the detailed with a snapshot format, you can have the reports. One execution report of the number of test cases, a single test case or the number of test cases together look like this. So the execution report completely captures the everything starting from the execution stats, the numbers, and the complete details with the snapshots of all the respective screens in order to have the complete end-to-end compliance. There is another part of reporting that talks about the stability and a different view with the view of charts. So if you look at this session dashboard right here, that talks about the module stability, where whatever modules that we have executed as part of the testing, so we have a complete stats of the executions of those modules. Then on the top right, we have the environment stability. So this one talks about whether the environment and the number of executions that we have done based on the logic behind it tells us that whether the environment is stable in a risky state or is unstable, giving us all the more detailed information on the results, like failure by module, complete module summary report, and a detailed view of the business process detail report, where we have information on all the singular business processes and their stats, starting from what were the business processes that got executed with the complete traceability, what were the components that belong to those business processes with the time and the duration that it took to execute those test cases and the complete statuses.
So, I mean, that's a perfect demonstration, Dimpi, to show that the customers basically, or anyone who is on this platform, would have full visibility into the entire execution at any point of time, right? How the environment is behaving. And when I say environment, it's the sandbox, right? If you have multiple sandbox environments, you can actually run the test against different ones to see how stable they are and stuff, right? So, folks, I mean, it's just a sneak peek into the platform. We have multiple demos. We have a lot of videos on our site where we can go into much more detail over here. And I'm sure there would be a webinar in near future where we'll discuss the platform features in detail. So thank you very much, Dimpi, for this quick overview of the platform. Vinay, I think we'll pass it over to you to maybe discuss if you have seen some benefits of this approach with customers and maybe take it to the conclusion.
Yes, Pankaj. Thank you. Thank you, Dimpi. Thank you, Pankaj. Chandra, can you give me the control, please? Or Dimpi, you can do that. So I think we have heard about what are the business concerns. We have heard about how the tool, the platform can help. We have seen a very brief demo. I wanted to just share one success story in this short 2-3 minutes. So this is for one of our clients based out of US on the west side, and they are into telecom space where they're providing Wi-Fi and cellular services for organizations like airports, stadiums, and hotels, those kind of things. And they had implemented Oracle Fusion, almost 14 modules of those for a couple of years, and they were facing challenges. They had done outsourcing. They had an automation also using some of the the other tools in the industry which are available, but they were not able to get the right custom answer to their problems. So they had like almost 4 times they had to do the testing from a Oracle patching perspective, the release perspective, and then they had several requirements in a year for their business changes. They had about like 250 plus test cases or scenarios, what we can call. And once we implemented, it's almost more than a year now. and they were able to break even in about 5 months of the time period. The dollar savings were about 650K across 2 years period, and then 134% of rate of return. And this is the client I was talking earlier. Now they are looking to do these cycles instead of quarterly, to have monthly cycle also being done. So that's the kind of advantage what they saw, and the benefits what they happen. So that's what I have here. Pankaj, taking to the next slide for you.
All right. So, I mean, it's more a kind of, conclusion. I mean, why you should actually move with the platform-based approach? It's very, very simple, right? I mean, you don't need to be a geek or a computer scientist to use this platform. I mean, your business users who have the functional knowledge have the power to automate. Even with that simplicity, we have packed a lot of punch, behind the scenes. We use a lot of AI, a lot of passive learning to bring out the best of the testing research to you and make your life easier with with higher business assurance. And you don't have to worry about any of your Oracle processes and beyond, because we have already taken care of that for you. So a lot of compelling business props. We would love to understand the use cases and keep on improving on it further. Vinay, can you move to the next one? And finally, folks, we are presenting in the Oracle Open World. I'm sure many of you would be attending the Open World in San Francisco from 16 to 19. We welcome you to come and join us, and in booth 411. And we would love to discuss the challenges that you face and how we can actually help you. We'll be doing a lot of demos, right, Vinay?
Absolutely, there will be live demos, there will be recorded demos, and we will have our specialists available to answer any of your technical queries. We'll have the business leaders talk about your business needs. So a complete offering would be available, and we'll be more than happy to and love to see you over there.
Great. So I think it's time for a quick Q&A, right? And plus we have to see the result of that poll as well, right?
Yeah. Chandra, can you share the poll results?
Yes. So you can see here around 89% said in-house, and the question was, how are you currently managing your testing? So 89% in-house, around 3% outsourced, and around 8% managed testing as a service.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty heavily skewed in terms of in-house, right? I mean, I was expecting more around outsourced, because of late I've seen that trend. But yeah, that's interesting. Scalability, huh? Okay.
So probably moving on to the Q&As. So let us take there are a couple of questions out there, and so we will try to cover maximum. But looking at the time, if some questions are left, we will take it over the email, or you can schedule a call with you. So the first question comes from Chris Bailey. The question is, does impact assessment provide a report of objects impacted or test scenarios to be executed relative to the changes? So Pankaj, probably over to you.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, very acute observation, Chris, I would say. It actually does both. So there are two levels of the reports. The first report that comes out gives you a impact assessment of the objects. Nothing to do with test, how your Oracle Cloud objects have been impacted. So that's the first one. And then based on that, what is the impact on your existing business processes and the configured test cases? That's the second level of report. And you can choose from whichever report you want to export.
Okay, so next question comes from Alfonso. The question is, what do you mean by platform-based? So probably Pankaj, when you said, what do you mean by platform-based? So when you said about OpKey, it's a platform-based tool.
Correct. So, okay. So I think what we mean by platform-based is, I mean, if you look at the way traditional testing has been done, even in terms of automation, people use some tools for that matter, people do the manual way of, testing. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you get the same level of, visibility, and you get the same level of SLA, but with a testing platform. So we call OpKey a testing platform rather than just an automation tool in itself, because it's much more than platform. So a traditional automation tool would not have things like impact analysis or self configuration. So we are utilizing a lot of these stuff together to make sure that we give you a platform approach of doing testing. And again, I mean, if we talk about nut and bolts, it's more about moving from automated to autonomous testing kind of way. But it's a good question, Alfonso. Requires a slightly deeper discussion. Maybe we'll reach out to you separately to answer this question in detail.
Fine. Another question comes from Mr. Chris Helwick. The question is, we participate in the early SOAK, SOAK testing each quarter. So are you up and running when we get the early release?
Absolutely. I mean, we work very closely with the Oracle and the business partners, right? So most of our engines at the back end, our engineers are constantly working to make sure that they are available. So for the early SOAK releases, we have our engine ready, up and running at that time.
So I believe that's another question. What they say is, do you think that the business is typically the target audience for this tool, or is it IT?
Good question again. Vinay, would you like to answer that?
Sure, Pankaj. So I will definitely say from a requirement perspective, both the stakeholders, the business and IT, are equally, have the need. But then the most impacted are the business people, because when they are not able to see the changes which they want to bring to the market, to their product and services getting delayed, when they see their existing processes get broken and something kind of impacts their production. I mean, we have seen scenarios where the invoices getting generated and being sent to the wrong people, invoices being duplicated, and the payments being made twice. So all those kind of scenarios do happen because the coverages are not enough. So yes, the business is the most impacted.
Thanks, Vinay. Another question comes from Chris that is regarding pricing. So probably we will send you the email or discuss with you on that separately. So another question from Ravi. Quickly we can take that. Is this based on Selenium?
So the core engine, I mean, if you look at the way OpKey platform works, we have integrated a lot of tools. So we have used some of the best elements of Selenium. We have used some of the best approaches of Protector, and then we have built our own on top of it. So while the core APIs that interact with the browser are still Selenium, Ravi, we have built the whole engine. So it's not a true Selenium, so to say. We have done about 78 or up to 80% customizations on top of it.
Another question from Madhavi. Can you explain self-healing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Would love to. That's where we have actually filed a patent, right? So self-healing is more about the fact, Madhavi, where if you see a change, right, coming in because of an update or because of your configuration changes, or in EBS case because of some of the development that you have done, automation typically gets out of sync, right? There is an additional effort of going to your automated test cases and making sure that they are in sync with those changes. What self-healing attempts to do is it attempts to heal the test cases to accommodate the changes in the automated test cases based on these needs automatically. And I mean, traditionally, that's one of the biggest problem why automation has not been able to realize the benefits, as it was touted to be, because the changes very quickly get out of sync with automated tests, and it requires a huge effort. So self-healing almost eliminates that need. That's why the ROI comes much faster.
Thank you, Pankaj. Just last question we can take, that is from Surya. He says, how much business teams involvement is needed in creation of test cases, execution, and validation?
Again, good question. Vinay, would you like to take that?
Sure, Pankaj. So Surya, I mean, way it happens, once the fit gap is done at the implementation stage, if you remember, Pankaj had shown in the initial implementation stage, that's where I will say some part of business users are required. Once that is done, then this platforms kind of takes over. And if there are no changes done in the processes, at least from a business end, platform can automatically keep on testing and giving the results. They can be scheduled, they can be auto scheduled, they can be triggered from some of your DevOps tools, and it can be done pretty much without involving business. And I think that's where the key vision when we developed this platform was that dependency on the business should be minimal, because that's another large percentage of businesses that are struggling, or rather ITs are struggling, that to bring business people for testing is difficult. So simple answer, business need people requirements are minimal with the tool.
Thank you, Vinay. Quickly, one last question. This is important. Do these accelerators exist for EBS as well, or just for cloud?
Yes, if you've seen the presentation till now, I think we have been talking for both of Oracle EBS and Oracle Cloud. So yes, accelerators do exist, and we'll be more than happy to discuss in detail what exactly you can achieve between the two.
Thank you, Vinay. And I guess we have complete. There are a little bit of questions more which we can probably answer separately over the email. Also, if you have any further questions, you can email me. My contact details are already with you. I'll also share, my email with the recording of this webinar with you. So I believe with that, we are going to the end of the session, Vinay. So thank you, all of you, for sparing your time to attend this webinar, and request all of you to fill the survey that will show up on your screen after we end this session. Once again, thanking you, all of you, to join in, and we would be glad to meet you over Oracle OpenWord if you have plans. Thanks again for your presence. Thanks, Vinay. Thanks, Pankaj. Thanks, Dimpy.
Thank you very much, folks. Great audience today, right, Vinay?
Yep, absolutely loved it.
Absolutely. Great. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.